Every year coming to AILA, I'm so impressed with all the new progress, new technology, new policies that's being put in place. It's an ever-evolving world. And if you think that government agencies are just archaic and old, that might be true, but they're also constantly innovating. So we just attended the Customs Border Protection Agency Open Forum, or AILA, invited some of the top officials from CBP National. Throughout this session, we learned a lot of the new technologies that they're implementing. Some of them are golden nuggets and we want to share them with you so you can take advantage. The first thing they announced was the new ESTA app. Now ESTA is for visa waivers. Not every single country needs a visa to enter the US. Normally you apply for an ESTA and now you don't need a physical visa on your passport. You can just directly come into the US for typically 30 to 90 days. Before, it was this archaic website, it's very difficult to use, and so a lot of people pay for third-party agencies to apply for them. A couple $100, some will charge $1,000, it's ridiculous. CBP directly said, don't do that, just directly do it through the new app. So the new ESTA app that's directly created by CBP, you can easily apply for the ESTA through your phone. You can take a picture of your passport, everything gets implemented. It's quick, it's easy, and you can easily come into the country.
So the good thing is that it's available in all 40 countries. I quickly downloaded it on my phone. It's really easy to navigate. It should take about 15 to 20 minutes.
Which means you can do it while waiting in line to get to the airport.
Just as a reminder, it's available for business or tourism, as Joseph mentioned, up to 90 days. It's not meant for you to extend or change status, so just a temporary quick visit.
Yeah, a tourist visa, when you go to the consulate, when you apply for a B1, B2 visa, you can come in for 6 months and extend for another 6 months, but you cannot do that with ESTA. But for most people, coming here for a month or 2 months is more than enough. The next biggest update is the mobile passport control. This is actually a global entry hack. You can think of it that way. There's tons of videos on TikTok, it's super fun. Basically, the idea is instead of waiting in those long lines when you enter the country, you're snaking around the airport, it's like an hour before you see the customs officer. If you just use this app, you can directly skip that line. You can use the machine because you pre-declared everything. And then after that, you can immediately see an officer very quickly and you're on your way. Basically, it cuts your waiting time by a lot. Now, the reason why it's a global entry hack is because if you go through the process of getting a global entry, then you don't have to wait in the line. You can use the machine directly, and then it prints out everything, and you don't see an officer, and you just come in. So this one, you still have to see an officer, but you know how it is. When you see an officer, the meeting is like 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds.
So the way that it works is that you download the app, you take a selfie, you answer some of the questions, and then basically the app will generate a QR code, which then you take to the CBP officer. As Joseph mentioned, there's a designated line, so it's a lot shorter. And the best thing about it is that it's free.
Yeah, for global entry, it's like $100. You have to do an interview, you have to fill in a lot more information, but the perks are a little bit better. Global entry, you could do it almost at every single airport entering the country. This MPC, you can only do it at select airports, but they have it at the biggest ones. So it cuts the line and it's fast, it's easy, and it's free. They're rolling that out. Not that many people know. Most lawyers in the room, when we're talking to the CBP officer, didn't even know about it. So this is like hot information available for you guys.
One other cool thing is that you can use it for your entire family. So it lets you add up to 12 people as opposed to global entry, where every person has to pay and have their own global entry status. 12
people, 100 each, 1,200, 12 different interviews, traveling to the airport to the interview. This is so much better. The last major update is about the DHS trip. Now, this has been around for a long time, but there's a lot of new information that I learned that I didn't know before. If you've encountered problems when you were at the airport, maybe your visa was canceled and you were forced to leave the country, or let's say you were treated very rudely, you finally were approved, the result was good, but the process was miserable. You were searched, you were insulted. It was not a human to human interaction. A gun was pulled on you. Different scenarios we've seen. You can file a DHS trip to the CBP and then they will review it. We've known that before. We've used that before. Some clients have gone to the airport, they got pulled into secondary, they've been interviewed for hours in the let-in, and this happens every single time, and it's just extremely difficult and tiresome. Well, we use DHS to correct it. But what I didn't know about it is that it's actually a multi-agency review. I originally thought you filed it, it goes to that port of entry. If it's LAX, it goes to LAX. If it's Orlando, it goes to Orlando. If it's JFK, it goes to JFK. But it's actually not the case. When you file it, it goes to headquarters. There's multiple layers of people reviewing it. They also said if it takes a longer time for them to respond to you, that means they're actually actively reviewing it. And there's more likely a positive result than if you just get it really fast. A lot of lawyers in the room, we were complaining about this. We file this and it just goes into the ether. We don't know if we're gonna get a response. And then we wait weeks and weeks and sometimes months. And then a response comes back. And the response, it's like resolved. We've reviewed and it's been taken care of. It's like, what does that mean, right? Was it an intern just texting back? But they've explained they cannot release new information. What that means is whatever you submitted, they've reviewed it. And if you have a particular complaint, they've done what they can on their end. It is a government agency. Think of it like Secret Service. They cannot release any information, and it's not to your satisfaction, we understand, but they do really use it. And the best way to know if it really works or not is by just doing a poll. So in the room, hundreds of immigration attorneys representing thousands of clients over the years. The CBP officer said, we know it's not the best system, but how many of you have used it and actually resolved something? And a huge number of hands went up. So we can tell you that we personally used it to help correct our clients' misreadings. And then things will resolve. What they say is, if you are filing a DHS trip correction, a redress, please make it very specific. Please write it very clearly. Please attach documents. Something else they mentioned is, other than using this redress function, just talk to a supervisor, right? You are there at the airport. If one officer is giving you a hard time, you can talk to a different officer. You can talk to a supervisor. You can talk to a different supervisor after you talk to the first supervisor. If you know your rights, you know where you stand, and you know what your options are, you can do that. So we had a really good, candid, frank discussion about all this with the CBP directors and with all the AILA attorneys there in the room this morning. It was very fruitful, and we just wanted to share these key insights with you. Hopefully it's helpful. Till the next session, take care. Bye-bye.